In the fall of 2003, I was feeling restless. I was in a job at the time that I felt had run its course and that it was time to move on. It was November, and so I decided that, you know what, in the new year, I'll start looking for a new job. And a little while later, after making that decision to start looking in the new year, and I think it was November 28th or November 29th, I was on the computer trying to find some information about a lecture that was happening at Queen's. And I was, trying to find the date and time and so forth. And I accidentally stumbled across a job opportunity on the website. And it was an interesting opportunity, but the application deadline was December 1st. And I thought, you know what, interesting opportunity, but I think I'll take a pass and stick with my plan to begin looking for work in the new year. And the next day, as I thought about this a little more, something in me said, don't let this pass, you've got to apply. So I pulled together an application, got it in just before the deadline, and long story short, yes, I got the job, and it opened up a whole new direction for my career and for my life. In English, we have just a single word for time. But in Greek, the language of the New Testament, there are two words for time: chronos and kairos. And chronos is what we think of as clock time or linear time, time that's chronological, orderly, and sequential. Kairos is a different sense of time. Kairos is time in the sense of a critical or opportune moment. It's an opening or a window of opportunity that needs to be acted on or it will be lost. And there's a sense, maybe not so much of urgency, but definitely of immediacy about kairos. And that job opportunity was a kairos moment. A door had opened, but it wasn't going to stay open. I had to act. And in today's gospel reading, we experience the beginning of Jesus' ministry. He has just come out of the desert, and he speaks his first words in Mark's gospel. And his first words are, "The time is fulfilled." And of course, the word that's used in the gospel is kairos. This is not chronos time, this is kairos time. The time is ripe, the kingdom is here, but you've got to act. I've got a friend who's a counselor, and I was talking with him a few years ago and asking him about the way he approached various issues that clients might come to him with. And he said that, there's differences of approach for differing issues, of course, but in many cases, even though the issue might be very, very different, there was a lot in common in how he approached them and how he supported his clients. And for example, he said that a common piece of advice or insight that he would offer to clients, regardless of the specific issue, was this. And that is, and this statement has stayed with me, it was one of those bell ringers at the time. And he said, an action delayed is an action abandoned. An action delayed is an action abandoned. And that's kairos speaking. That's not chronos, because in chronos, an action delayed can be made up for or adjusted for. But in kairos, an action delayed is an action abandoned. And again, that's Jesus speaking in today's gospel. Follow me, he says to the fishermen. And that's a kairos moment for Simon and Andrew and James and John. There's no follow me and get back to me in a week and let me know what you've decided. Or take some time and talk it over with your family and let me know what you think. No, it's now or not at all. So we have to tune in, be alert, be aware, be awake. Because, we live most of our lives in chronos. But when kairos presents itself, we can't use the methods and techniques that serve us well in chronos. So when we think of our lives and we think of, how we grow, how we develop, how we change, we can probably identify that many things have changed in that linear, sequential, and gradual chronos type of fashion. So for example, I used to run marathons before my knees started causing me trouble. And marathon training is very much that linear, sequential, gradual progress. You start out running a few miles, and then every week you add another half mile or kilometer, and 6 or 8 months later, you're running 20 miles. But there's other times in our lives when change is not that linear, gradual pattern. Rather, it's discontinuous. There's a sudden jump, a sudden shift, or a change of state. Like the first disciples, one moment they were fishermen, the next they were followers of Jesus. So here's a couple of thoughts and questions for us to consider as we reflect on today's gospel. And the first, I think, is for each of us, am I currently in a time of chronos or kairos? Now, most of us are going to be in chronos, but some of you for sure will recognize that you're in kairos right now. And even if you're not, we have to be prepared for kairos because it can show up at any time. As I experienced on November 28th or 29th, 2003, kairos doesn't conform to my plans, my expectations, my schedule, and my agenda. And the second question, I guess, and this one is specifically for those who are sensing that they are in that time of kairos, and that is, what action, what decision is the time ripe for? What action or what decision am I being called to? Because kairos has consequences, as those fishermen experienced. Yes, it's a time of opportunity, but it can also be a time of major discontinuity. The time is ripe. The time is fulfilled. Act now.